We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Welcome to Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network from our flagship station in the nation's capital, WWRC. Today's show is going to be a special, all-encompassing examination of Donald Trump's first 100 days in office and a look at the Democrat front bench for 2028. It's going to be a great show. Remember, Liberty Nation Radio is sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news, analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Welcome back to Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides, and we're joined by longtime host of this here radio show and Liberty Nation senior political analyst, Mr. Tim Donner. Welcome back, Tim. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, let's have some fun, Mark.
So, I mean, it's been a crazy 3 months, Tim, and we're fast approaching, I believe it's April 30th, the 100-day mark of Trump's second term here. Now, usually a president only gets, I mean, I think there's one other exception. Was it Grover Cleveland who had consecutive terms?
Yes.
So a president usually only gets 100 days honeymoon period. Trump didn't even get that, I think. I think the ambitiousness of his agenda and the fact that he was already the left-leaning Fourth Estate public enemy number one, I don't think he had a honeymoon period, but we're 100 days approaching. Give me your overall take.
Well, in terms of the numbers, like 100 days, 1,000 days, whatever, which is what John F. Kennedy had before he was assassinated. I think Trump is looking at this like he's got a 2-year term, essentially, because all the metrics over the years show that the out party picks up seats in Congress in the midterm elections, which come up next November. And the Republican majority is so thin in the House that I would put it somewhere between possible and certain, probably in the likely category that the Democrats seize control of the House of Representatives next year. Probably not the Senate, because Republicans would need to lose 4 seats for that to happen. But Trump feels like he has no time to waste, and he wants to get everything done very quickly, and he wants to create the kind of imbalance, or shall we say chaos, that he thrives on. Because he's had so many initiatives, from tariffs to immigration to DOGE and all the rest of it, that would ordinarily be an awful lot for a president in 4 years.
Yeah.
And he's done it in 3 months. So who knows what will happen in the next, 18 months between now and the midterm elections. But I think he's looking at it that he really only has until November of 2026, effectively January of 2027, to really affect the kind of change he wants, which is why he has the one big, beautiful bill that is still being, argued over, debated between Republicans in the Senate and the House. He knows he's not going to get any tax cuts if Democrats take control of the House in 2026. So he feels like he is on a rapid schedule. He's got no time to lose. And there's so many things also, Mark, that he wanted to do in the first term that he couldn't do for a variety of reasons, not the least of which was he was surrounded by these concocted scandals that the Democrats cooked up, which took up so much of his time and energy. But we've said it before, and I'll say it again, Trump is much better off having lost in 2020 and coming back with 4 years to ponder exactly what he wanted to do. And he's far more focused and far more rebellious, revolutionary, if you want to call it, here, with his second term being separated from his first.
I think you're absolutely right about this idea of he sees himself as having 2 years to get everything done. And because after that, he's obviously in the position of Barack Obama, who famously said, I've got a pen and I've got a phone. But Trump is actually operating like that already. he's doing almost everything through the executive branch, the executive powers, and as of yet, as time of recording, we haven't had any, let's say, substantive legislation go through both chambers and to the president's desk. There's nothing substantive yet, and so everything he's
True.
doing is with the pen and the phone, and that's more likely not to get challenged while both houses are with the executive. And I think when it comes down to, yeah, he has to get everything in place now. And then here's the conundrum, isn't it? He's either got to get everything that he's doing now, it's got to start paying dividends before the midterms.
Yes.
So he can try and help the upper and lower chamber hang on to their majorities. And if it doesn't, well, he's still got the pen and phone, but he's unlikely to be able to be, as you say, revolutionary going through 2027, 2028.
Couple of points on that.
Yeah.
He is doing, as you said, almost everything through executive orders. And of course, the problem with executive orders is that they can be reversed
Yeah.
as soon as a president of the other party or even one of your own party comes in and can reverse those. However, he also realizes that, for example, closing the border, firing federal workers, and getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse have the effect of legislation in the sense that no president's going to come in and say, I want to restore waste, fraud, and abuse. I want to open the border. And I want to rehire unnecessary federal employees and re-featherbed the federal government. So he realizes that it has the effect of permanent change. Now, to the point of trying to do everything early so it has time to play out, there's no better example of that than the tariff regime that he has set out, which keeps changing, day to day, depending on the circumstances, which is what he likes.
Sure.
He thrives on
Strategic
chaos.
ambiguity. Yeah.
He's strategic ambiguity and chaos that tells his enemies, I don't know what this guy's going to do next. And of course, the tariffs, have shaken markets, not just in the US, but across the world. But he knows that this is something that will take time to work. And by doing it 2 months into his 48-month term, he gives it many, many months before the midterms to have its positive impact on the economy. And who knows, if they have the impact that he thinks that it will, the Republicans might be in better shape for the midterms than they ordinarily would be.
Yeah. Well, they've got the Republicans really have a second bite of the apple on this as well, don't they? Because let's say, just for example, let's say that what Trump's doing with the tariffs is effective, but it's going to take time to materialize or to give the return on investment, as it were. So if it hasn't materialized by the midterms, the congressional Republicans take a shellacking. But if after that it starts coming through, sure, the Democrats will say, well, that's because we've had to deal with this and we've been trying to guide it to steadier waters, but nobody's going to buy that. And so he's actually got the full, as you say, the full 48 months for them to come to fruition. And if they do, then when we reach 2028, November 2028, the Republicans really get a second chance to take advantage of that and say, look what Republican, because it won't be Trump policy by then. It will be, look at what Republican policy has done.
Yes, because the party is owned by Trump now.
Sure.
Unlike in 2016, where there was a great deal of skepticism about Trump because he was a pure populist with a conservative bent. But the thing with the tariffs that's interesting, and Trump dropped hints, and this is his dream. Trump's dream is that we can go back to just before the turn of the 20th century, where there was no income tax, and all of our needs were met by tariff income. During the McKinley administration, before he was assassinated, he would love to be able to eliminate the income tax for anybody making less than $150,000 and replace that tax revenue with tariff revenue. Now, if he can pull that off, I think Republicans can rule the roost for as far as the eye can see because everybody hates income taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the left will try to say, well, it's a trick and whatever. But if he puts the Democrats in the position of defending the income tax, that's not hardly going to accrue to their benefit. It will accrue to Trump's benefit, of course. And any successor of his, whether it be J.D. Vance, Glenn Youngkin, or Ted Cruz, or anybody else who will run for president as a Republican in 2028.
Let's see who's going to be running against that Republican after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.